The madness begins every March. NCAA tournament season reaches a feverish pace. Evansville is proud host of the NCAA Division II Elite Eight Championship. Starting March 25th through March 28th at the Ford Center, teams from across the country will battle for the NCAA Division II national title. Since Evansville first started hosting the tournaments at Roberts Stadium in 1957, it's continued to be a strong tradition in our region, and one that has a very storied history. 3 tri-state basketball programs have 16 national championships between them, and they are true NCAA Division II dynasties. When the Evansville Aces last won a championship in 1971, they were simply following a championship dynasty set by 4 other Aces teams before them.
There were about 12 years there where the Purple Aces won 5 championships from 1959 through our championship in 1971. And those teams basically did the same thing that we did in '71.
We just really had an understanding of each other's capabilities and how we played the game and how each individual played the game, along with McCutcheon's tremendous ability to scout teams and prepare you for a team. I think it was a matter of speed and just there was a lot of times that we would score layups off the fast breaks before the other team would reach the half-court mark.
From 1946 to 1977, Coach Arad McCutcheon led the Aces to all 5 of its national championships. Known as an innovator among his peers, he became one of only 5 coaches ever to be inducted into the Naismith Memorial Hall of Fame.
McCutcheon was, and you've heard this said, it's kind of cliche at this point, but was way ahead of his time in a lot of the aspects of the game. A lot of people look at the shirt sleeves and the robes that we had on the bench, the orange color when we were the Purple Aces on the road. Those were all things that he felt were important to being successful.
The man had us as well prepared for our opponents as you could possibly have had back in those days, because we ran on 16mm film back in those days. And so it's changed quite a bit, but we always felt that we were well prepared whenever we went into any game against any opponent.
A lot of his play was centered around the fact of taking advantage of each individual and what their capabilities were. And like I said, our team was very, very fast of foot, and we had the ball out and going down the court in a very programmed and a very deliberate fashion, much different than what we see today, where you'll see one guy take the ball, dribble the length of the court, and go 1-on-3 or 1-on-4 in the hopes of either getting a foul or making a basket. We had a very specific approach.
The semifinal game we played against the #1 team in the country in the college division ranks, and that was the University of Southwest Louisiana State.
I was so scared and so frightened of the team we were playing that I can't even remember much about the game.
They were just a huge team, a very talented team, very imposing team, and we had to play them in the semifinal game in order to reach the championship game. And we jumped on that team very quickly, and before they knew it, we had them down. And you've heard of the phrase, we had our foot on their neck and on their throat, and we didn't let up.
The Aces clobbered Southwest Louisiana State 93-74, sending them to the championship game against Old Dominion.
The atmosphere at Roberts Stadium was absolutely electric. On that night of the championship game, 13,124 fans saw that game that night. That was the second largest attendance mark in the history of Roberts Stadium. And the only other crowd to be larger was during a regular season game back in the early 60s, maybe in 1960, when Evansville played Kentucky Wesleyan. That was a regular season game. So that night in 1971, that was the largest crowd to ever watch an NCAA college division basketball tournament game. And now a Division II game. So it was absolutely electric in Roberts Stadium that night. When the game got started, our leading scorer missed his first 4 shots, and Old Dominion was hitting all of their shots. We were down 7 points with about 11 minutes to go in the first half. This is the first time we'd been behind in the tournament. And we turned it on and began hitting our shots. By halftime, we were shooting 50% from the field. By the end of the game, we shot over 50%. Everyone played together, very, very well. We got the fast break tuned up, turned on in that game, and got some easy baskets against Old Dominion. Final score ended up being 97-82.
In 1977, Evansville moved to Division I basketball. Its former college division stars still come to see the Aces play every chance they get and say they will always bleed purple.
We had 5 great teams that won championships. We were a great team. It was a dynasty. It was a powerful dynasty. I won't say we were the best team in the country. We were the best team in the college division ranks back in those days. 6 years earlier, in 1965, when the Evansville Purple Aces team went undefeated and they won the national championship, many people would argue that they were the best team in the country.
U of E basketball is who we are, and that's that championship aspect of it is a very high pinnacle part of that. But U of E has a long, strong tradition and history of basketball. It's really what put this school on the map.
The University of Southern Indiana's Screaming Eagles is the youngest of the 3 schools featured in our program, but its tradition of playing in NCAA Division II tournaments is nonetheless impressive, having appeared there 23 times since 1970. Out of all the talented USI teams over the last 4 decades, it's the 1995 National Championship team that is still talked about today. As the University of Southern Indiana celebrates its 50th anniversary, it's the 45 years of USI basketball tradition that people are reminded of as the NCAA Elite 8 tournament rolls into Evansville this week. Although many talented Screamin' Eagles teams over the decades have made an appearance in the Division II dance, none is more storied than Coach Bruce Pearl's 1995 championship team. Chad Gilbert, an All-American Player of the Year, was one of those players.
And then in '95, we just had a great team. We had it all came together. We had great coaches, great fans. The fans in Evansville were outstanding, and they really got behind us and really pushed us in times of when we would get down on ourselves. We look at the fans and say, we can't let these people down. But as much as that, we looked at our guys in the court and said, we can't let each other down.
There's always something special, something different about a championship team. And inevitably, the best players recognize the difference between just being a winning team compared to being a champion.
We had just such a looseness, such a competitiveness, such a cockiness, we had an edge. When we walked in the gym, teams were like, here comes USI. And we felt like, here we come, we're coming here to do a job. And we did a job with a lot of guys. There were a lot of teams who didn't want the Eagles to come in town, but when we came in town, we knew what we were going to do. We were going to take care of business.
With us having one common goal of winning, I think that helped. We did so many things together as a team. You wouldn't see one without the other. And I think that's what made our team special, because we built that special bond with one another. And once we stepped on the basketball court, we didn't want to let the next man down on our basketball team. I think that's why we were so successful, because the bond we had off the court translated to on the court.
It was a process to get there. It wasn't easy. We had a lot of guys who came together that all wanted to win, but we all had individual goals as well. But the one thing that our team did is we put individual goals in the back burner in order for the success of the team. And we cared just as much about each other as we did for our own self. And that was something that Coach Pearl, Coach Hurtis, they ingrained in us. They put that in us, that this is the best for the team. And we'd have guys, I think the highest minutes someone played was 26 minutes. We were very unselfish. In Coach Pearl's system, if you were a starter, you controlled your minutes. And so if you were coming out, if you were tired, you pulled your jersey. And when you pulled your jersey, your sub walked to the bench and subbed you in. But whenever you decided to go back in, you'd walk back in. Well, what happened is you had to trust in your backup, that your backup, if he was playing well, you let him play. And I developed a lot of closeness, a lot of camaraderie on the team, and it was something that closeness pulled us through in a lot of tight games.
USI had already made several tournament appearances, but a national championship had always eluded them. That all changed in the early 90s when Coach Bruce Pearl set USI on a championship path. During his 9-year tenure, the Screaming Eagles went to 9 straight Division II tournaments. They won 4 GLVC regular season titles and compiled a record of 231 and 46. Former players feel his influence even today.
Coach Pearl was a great coach, is a great coach, and he's a great leader. And he makes you feel like $1 million. He makes you better than what you are. And that's hard for people to realize, but you talk to Coach Pearl and you feel like you can do anything. You can accomplish anything that you set your mind to, and that's what Coach Pearl implements into you. And that's something as a coach, as a leader, I try to do that with my coaches. I try to do that with my players. I wanted them to feel better than they were. I wanted them to achieve better than what they thought they could do. And Coach Pearl really did a good job of putting that in every one of us. When I think of Coach Pearl, you can hear the excitement in my voice. That's how much he's meant to me in my life. He's someone I've stayed in touch with, and someone that I've strived to be like. He's someone that brings a room up. He can bring a city up, a team up. He can make everybody up to another level when you're around him, and it's something that not a lot of people have, but it's a special quality that makes people great.
Everything that I've done in my coaching career, I really owe to USI. I owe it to Dr. David Rice. I owe it to Dr. Don Bennett. I owe it to Charlie Bertram. It's hard to even talk about those guys without getting emotional because they gave me a shot to be a head coach. I had 9 wonderful years there. And so most of what I've done since I've left Southern Indiana has been pretty good, not all of it. And I'd like to think that it reflects well on USI and the Screaming Eagles.
I recall sitting down with Coach Pearl one day about my future as a person, what I wanted to do. I wanted to be a coach, and I told him that from day one. He thought I was crazy, but I was serious about it because I really was grateful to things they'd done with us and saw how they treated us and how they enjoyed just waking up every day coming to practice. And what better job to have than to be a basketball coach, enjoying each and every day getting up going to work.
So when you go to the Elite 8 tournament this week, remember, you're going to experience quality basketball from talented players and fans who are just as passionate for the game and its historic rivalries. It's what turned schools like the University of Southern Indiana into NCAA Division II dynasties.
To this day, people still talk about the things we've done at Southern Indiana. And it was a great, great thing to be a part of. It was so much fun and an unbelievable experience.
The quality of Division II basketball was so really good, and one of the things I was always very proud about is that in the area that we lived, in Southern Indiana, in Northern Kentucky, Division II basketball was spectacular. The best teams in our league were the best teams in the country.
The tradition plays as much a role as anything of it, and the passion that area has for basketball is second to none. They love good basketball in the tri-state area, and when we played down there, that's what we wanted to give them, was good basketball.
You can't mention Division II basketball or the Elite 8 without talking about Kentucky Wesleyan. Since 1954, the Panthers have been to the Division II tournament 36 times, and they boast 8 national championships. Those championships have led players like George Tinsley, Sam Smith, and Dallas Thornton to the American Basketball Association and Corey Crowder to the NBA. That's one heck of a tradition in basketball, and there doesn't seem to be an end in sight. And there's one man who's seen it all. Meet Joel Utley. He's been the voice of the Panthers since 1962 and has called over 1,500 of their games, including all 8 NCAA championships for local Owensboro radio.
The phenomenon that has been Division II basketball, and when I started here it was University Division basketball and College Division basketball, and the phenomenon is just unbelievable for this particular area. When I think of the days of that basketball palace known as Roberts Municipal Stadium and the marvelous crowds that came to those games at Roberts Stadium, it was electric, electric. You had Evansville College then, you had Indiana State, you had Kentucky Wesleyan, Southwest Missouri, Tennessee State, and you also had the Akron Zips. They made that Roberts Stadium electric, and the crowds that came for Kentucky Wesleyan versus Southern Illinois, or Kentucky Wesleyan versus Southwest Missouri, or Kentucky Wesleyan versus Indiana State. Unbelievable crowds. It was so marvelous. And Evansville being centrally located like it is for, and was then for, Division II basketball with the teams I enumerated plus others, just phenomenal. And the ability to get all these teams to play in the NCAA tournament, Division II, and the marvelous crowds at Roberts Stadium, that's a memory that will live on forever.
And the phenomenon that is Kentucky Wesleyan basketball started its winning tradition early in 1957 under Coach T.L. Plain, but it was his successor, Coach Guy Strong, that led 5 KWC players to their first NCAA Division II championship in 1966.
The winning just soared to new heights with Guy Strong, and we won 3 national championships in 4 years at Kentucky Wesleyan, and it was just a marvelous, marvelous experience.
Coach Strong, he was coach of one team and Coach Daniels was the other, and I just happened to be on Coach Strong's team. And we had a fast break going, and I stopped and turned around and gave it to one of my roommates my freshman year, Roger Cordell. Well, he was off balance, missed a shot. Coach Strong took me out because we didn't score.
Guy Strong came to us with a strong background, and he was a strict disciplinarian, and he brought good players here. He was just tough. He took no prisoners, and you played for him. And in the championship game of 1966, we played 5 players. You played for Guy Strong, or you sat on the bench. Guy Strong demanded and got perfection.
But as tough a coach as Guy Strong was, it was the toughness of the 1966 team under him that battled Southern Illinois to a 54-51 championship victory.
The team itself, I know the coaches had a lot to do it, but them together, they're like brothers. I mean, they would, among themselves, like any other family, brothers, have their little to-dos. But I tell you what, I have never seen a group that was so tight as friends on and off the court. I have them. We've had other teams have been the same way, but nobody has had a team that's the camaraderie, the love for each other, and even after 40, and next year will be 50 years anniversary coming up, I've never seen, they still stay connected to this day.
It's unbelievable to play in one game, but then to play like we were 19-1. We played in 20, but we knew what it took. It took not only just one player, all of us. Not only the starters, but the ones that were sitting on the bench, the coaches, the managers. Everybody had a role that they had to do, and we did it. And I think it goes back to just the will to win. There was a couple games there that we could have very easily quit, but we just didn't do it.
Over the next 4 decades, Kentucky Wesleyan would continue its championship tradition with 5 more trophies.
8 championships over the decades of the 60s, the 70s, 80s, 90s, and 2000.
The Panthers' last NCAA Division II win came under Coach Ray Harper. That was the 8th title for the Panthers. Now in 2015, Coach Happy Osborne is building a future championship team. And only time will tell whether this new set of talented players will match the success of that 1966 squad.
It was fantastic, unbelievable. And what we did, I hope it's accomplished again. I hope it's accomplished through KWC, but it might not ever happen again. I don't know. I hope it does. I hope some kids, 50 years from now are sitting here talking to you about the same things, but KWC it's a dynasty.
You've heard a lot about the great tradition and history of Evansville when it comes to Division II basketball, and we were really going to try to take that and build that into a great championship atmosphere for these teams as they come into Evansville for the 23rd time that we host this national championship. We've got a great week planned. It starts off with an opening ceremonies Monday night here at the Ford Center for all the teams. Great experience for them. We really roll out the red carpet as those teams come to Evansville. We want to make sure they have a great experience. The games start on Wednesday. We've got a lot of things happening. If you buy one ticket, you get to see all 4 games. So that whole first session is those 4 games on Wednesday. So that's really exciting. We've got family night that Friday or that Wednesday night, $5 ticket and $1 soda, $1 popcorn. So bring your families. It's going to be a lot of fun. Going to be some great basketball. Thursday, we've got the Night of Champions. We're going to honor those great teams that you heard about today, those 5 U of E champions and the 1 from USI. We're going to thank them for helping build that reputation of Evansville as a championship city. So that's going to be halftime of the 6 o'clock game. Those 2 semifinal games take place 6 and 8:30 that night on Thursday. You know, some great basketball is going to be played that night. Those teams fighting for a chance to get to the national championship game. Friday night, we've got a lot of exciting things happening. We've got a 5K run that's going to take place outside the Ford Center. We've got the Reese's All-Star game that starts at 7 o'clock that night. That's free to the public, so that should be a lot of fun. We're going to have a lot of festivities going on outdoors. March on Main Fest. We're going to have a Build-A-Bar out there. We're going to have TVs. We're going to have music, games, just a great atmosphere, a championship atmosphere here in Evansville. And it all culminates on Saturday at 2 o'clock for the national championship game. We're going to have a court-sized American flag to get the anthem going. We've got a Nashville recording artist coming up from Nashville to sing the anthem. We're going to have fireworks for the introductions, and then of course confetti for the championship, the winners when they win that game. So it's going to be an unbelievable week here in Evansville, celebrating Division II basketball. You know, just taking that great pride and passion this community has for basketball and putting it on display for the nation to see. And we hope you can help us and come out and enjoy a great week of basketball here in Evansville, Indiana.